of Tea with Z. My name is Zamil Solanki, and it's an absolute pleasure to be joining each and every one of you again on another episode this morning. And if you are watching live, give me some likes, give me some hearts, because that's what it's all about. And if you are watching a replay, definitely do the same as well. And if you are, keen to start to interact with these episodes of Tea with C, make sure you drop a comment in the comment section below, or even just say hi, because that's what we're all about here. We're about levels of interaction to really stimulate conversation. So drop a message. Let me know you're watching. I see some people are watching live right now. Let me know who you are by dropping in the chat box a little thing that says hi, because unfortunately the software doesn't tell me who's actually watching, just gives me a few little icons to say, yep, I'm viewing it live. So drop a comment in the comment section below, and I really look forward to connecting with each and every one of you. And a special shout out to those that are joining us from the Limitless Network, because I see a few joining from the Limitless Network this morning as well. Special hi and a mention to each and every one of you from the Limitless Network as well. Thanks for joining us. So to kick on from yesterday's topic, talking about cultures within our workplace and how we sometimes mirror or emulate some aspects of our culture with those that we see in Hollywood, or vice versa. And what we know from Hollywood, and I guess the biggest lesson from Hollywood, is we know that they love to dramatize things. Because at the end of the day, what's not more compelling than a drama that captivates an audience and blows out of proportion little nuances and things that happen within our day-to-day lives, but really, I guess, takes it to the extreme level. But what we can do with that information and knowing that that drama is taking it to the extreme level, really pare it back and go, well, what are the root things that are happening in this show that might be showing up in my life, in my professional life, in my personal life, with my friends, my family, but also my colleagues, my team, me as a manager, a leader within my organization? How is it showing up? And as a result of that, what lessons can we take from these shows that we either can implement within our businesses or actually not implement altogether? And, kicking on our theme, chatting about Suits, because it's such a well-known show. A lot of you may have watched it. I know a lot of people around in my circles have watched it and also, recommended it to me to check out. And that's why I've sort of come across that show. And that's at the end, I guess at the core of it, that's what we get these days as well. I see on social media all the time about people asking for recommendations of TV shows, or, oh, I was recommended this in a group chat, or whatever it might be. But it tends to be our circles of influence or our circles around us, our herd, that kind of shapes, I guess, the information and content that we consume. And so, speaking of Suits, one thing about it, and if you haven't watched yesterday's episode, I really encourage you to watch yesterday's episode, because that gives you some context around what we're talking about at the moment. And what we're talking about at the moment is essentially the culture that is portrayed in some of these shows, some of these dramas, and really, I guess, highlights on the extreme end some things that might be showing up within our own businesses or within our own cultures, within our organizations. And one thing that's come to light, kicking on from this, is the way in which we communicate with each other. And when you look at Suits and the way that they communicate with each other as colleagues, as team members, in my opinion, it's extremely destructive. It's extremely destructive, not congruent, or not congruent to building up a positive working relationship, not only for themselves as a team, but also for their clients. As health entrepreneurs, those would be your patients. And when we look at the way in which they talk about their clients, talk about their customers, talk about themselves as colleagues, talk about their leadership structures, talk about their hierarchies within their organization, it is really, really destructive in the sense that it doesn't foster an open and honest relationship. And at the end of the day, what is the foundation of good culture within an organization? Well, it's openness and honesty. Because at the end of the day, if you can't have open and honest conversations with those around you, in a really constructive way, then how can you expect a culture within an organization to truly flourish and to truly grow? And as a result of that, how can you actually expect any meaningful change within an organization if you don't lay down those foundations off the bat? And when you look at a show like Suits and you look at the way that they talk to each other, and of course it's dramatized, but taking it back in its core essence, how are you interacting with your colleagues? What language are you using? Is it endearing or demeaning? Is it supportive or negative? Is it constructive or destructive? And how are you using your language? And it might not even be your verbal language. It might be your body language, your facial expressions, whatever it might be. How are you utilizing your language within the workplace to convey a message, to convey authority or a sense of authority, to earn respect, or do you demand respect? And by demanding respect, what language are you using around that? And as a result of all these little things that start to pop up, obviously they culminate to something much bigger. And then we see communication breakdown. We see communication or miscommunication. We see communication in the sense that it demeans or demoralizes other people when we really want to stand up and empower others to succeed and to thrive within our organizations, yet we are pushing them down. And as health entrepreneurs and people that value health, what language are you talking to yourself? What is the self-talk that you have? What is this dialogue that goes on in your head? And what is that talking to you? What is your, and we're going to park this conversation to dive into this, but what is your ego talking about? What is your ego? That little voice in your head. And if you don't think you have a voice in your head, your little voice in your head right now is telling you that you don't have a voice in your head. And so when you think about all of these different factors and how they play out in a workplace culture, or even a culture within your own family, within your own friends, how does this start to play out? And how are you actually talking to people, communicating with people that you might not even be consciously aware of? What words are you saying with emphasis or with certain lines of tone or inflection that might mean something completely different to the person receiving it versus the way in which you intend to deliver the message? Because at the end of the day, we all know at the heart of communication is to be a good communicator or an excellent communicator. It's not the way in which we speak, it's the way in which our information is received. And as a result of that, how can we encourage or recognize the way in which we communicate to ensure that our message is being heard in the way it is truly intended? But if our intentions are already misguided or perceived to be negative or destructive in itself, well, then of course we're going to confound and build upon that destructive nature. But if our intentions are positive and supportive, and yet we aren't articulating that right, well, then what are the opportunities to really make sure that the information and communication that we are portraying is actually landing? And this is my question for you today. Is within your world right now as a health entrepreneur or somebody that values health in any way, shape, or form, what are the subconscious messages or communication that you are portraying? And if you could talk to that same person in the mirror, to yourself or to a young child, what would that message actually be? Would it be the same message as what you're talking to an adult colleague, to an adult friend, to your adult self, to your spouse, your partner, your friends, your family, whatever it might look like? Would that be the same messaging that you would then take and speak to a young child? And this is the lens that I've started to really try to be consciously aware of the language that we put out there. Because at the end of the day, as you know, I've got a young child, and I try to filter it and go, well, would I say this to Syra? Would I say this to Syra? And if I wouldn't say this to Sarah, what way would I say and convey that message that would deliver the same effect, but in a way that can be positively received or meaningfully received. And of course, things aren't always going to be positively received. At the end of the day, we're human. But there's always a way in which we can structure a conversation to ensure that our intention is to deliver a message with I guess, purposeful intent, with an intention that actually means something. And under that, it might be to educate, to empower, to provide a lesson. But if it's going around there to demoralize, to dehumanize, to be destructive, to be negative, well, then that's the only intention that we can bring out. But as human beings, I feel that, at the end of the day, at the core of us, what we're trying to communicate is something to help empower us to do better. And as health entrepreneurs, that's at the core of our being, is to help others succeed, to help others live healthier lives, whatever shape or form that might be in. And the way in which we can do that is through communication. And so, once again, what are the subconscious messages that you're putting out there? And if you had the opportunity to become consciously aware of those messages by filtering it through that lens of talking to yourself, talking to a young child, well, what would you do differently? Drop a comment in the comment section below, because where is this showing up for you in your life right now? Where is this showing up for you in your life right now? And even just these small nuances of words and language can be really, really powerful in the way in which we interact. And I'm going to touch on that more and more as we go on this series, but that's what I really want to touch on today. Just some food for thought as we continue on the rest of the week. So that's it from me today. Have an amazing day. I really, really hope you have an epic day. And really look forward to reading your comments in the comment section below. But that's it from me today. Have an awesome, awesome day. Take care now. I really look forward to reading this, because as we go on this journey, I hope you're really starting to take some lessons out of this, because that's what it's all about. And then sharing this knowledge as well. And that's why you've got it on socials. You can share away. And another way to, share the love is talking about the Limitless Network, because the Limitless Network is a group of like-minded people coming together. And if you haven't watched or seen the exclusive episodes in the Limitless Network on Fridays, make sure you jump on to that as well. And if you are joining, there are some questions, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're bringing truly like-minded people into the Limitless Network, because it's a group of like-minded people. And there's some questions there. It only takes literally 30 seconds to a minute to answer them. But they just help to make sure that, because at the end of the day, it's about creating a community of like-minded people. So that's it from me today. Have an amazing day. And I look forward to catching up with you again on another episode of Tea with Z tomorrow.